So we've only got three members of the public in attendance right now, so this may be a quick chat. I think that's kind of the week it's been for all of us. But anyways, hey Becky, Karen, and Lucinda, thank you for joining us. As you can see, the star of our show is missing. Maybe that's what's going on here. So Todd is out sick today. We're hoping he feels better soon. We don't have any reason to suspect anything too serious, but you know he's working hard, and you get a little run down. So we're hoping he's resting up, and we'll be back in action soon enough. But I'm really glad that Rebecca, RJ, Mike, and Adam could join us. Anyways, you know we have incredible staff here, so thank you guys for joining us. As I said, you know it's been kind of a slow week. I don't really have all that much for you guys. Just a few quick updates. Obviously, the election's coming up. That's, you know, I think a lot of us are feeling excited to you know have a chance to exercise our right to vote here. Obviously, it's weird voting during COVID. This is kind of a new thing for all of us. But the county's done a really impressive job of making it easier for us. One thing that I think is really convenient for Corte Maderans is that we have a ballot drop box right here in our very own town, right out front of the community center. So I went and dropped off my ballot there last Wednesday, I believe. I was very excited to try it out. Went, dropped my ballot off. I used the ballot tracking website that the state of California has set up, which is where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov, kind of a long URL there, but the URL should be on information that came with your ballot. You can use that system to track your ballot. I just got an email today letting me know that my ballot had been received and will be counted. And for anybody who's wondering, the county says that they're picking up ballots from that box every few days. So, you know, no worries if it takes, you know, a week or even a little longer, especially if you sign up to get those notifications. They should let you know once they've got your ballot. And I think we'll get another notification once our ballot is successfully counted. So that's exciting. It seems like that system is working well. Also wanted to let folks know that we're going to have a special guest at our next community chat, which is going to be October, today's the 30th, so the 27th. That's going to be Supervisor Dennis Rodoni. Our county supervisor is going to join us, so we're looking forward to hearing from him. And that'll be a good opportunity for folks to ask any questions they may have about county issues or things that are, you know, a little larger in scale than Corte Madera. So we're looking forward to having him there. Two other quick things I was going to mention. For those of you who might have missed it, at our last council meeting, that was last week, we voted to increase by 75 grand. We basically added a little budget augmentation for code enforcement. That'll be getting some folks to help Mike out. You know, I think we've all been seeing that over the last couple months, these code enforcement and quality of life issues have been kind of among the top things we've been talking about, whether it's leaf blowers, barking dogs off leash in the park. And I think we've really seen that a little extra code enforcement heft would be much appreciated by a lot of residents. So the council did vote to approve that extra 75 grand there for a little more code enforcement. So I'm feeling confident that that's going to make a difference in the situation we see in town. And the last thing that I wanted to mention, Rebecca just let me know that on October 19th, the county is going to be putting on another workshop, a public workshop about that Project Home Key, which is what we discussed. We had a presentation at the last council meeting last week. We had folks from the county and from a nonprofit organization that's working with the county come before the council and give us a little overview of that Project Home Key, which for anyone who's not familiar is the county's looking at buying a little hotel here in Corte Madera and housing, I think, like 18, I think, homeless people in this hotel. So really interesting project. Certainly it's going to be, you know, it's going to be important that we do this right, make sure it's executed well to make sure that there's no impact on residents. But I'm very confident in the county's ability and their nonprofit partners to pull this off in a way that's going to help get folks, our vulnerable residents, off our streets without having, you know, any sort of negative impact on residents. So that's my update. I will turn it over to Rebecca and the other staff here for any updates they want to share, and then we'll take questions.
Sorry, we have a flurry of activity at my door at the moment. Got the X Games going on outside. Elections. I just wanted to give an update to further comment on the mayor's comments about the elections. In my over 20 years in local government, I've never seen a turnout like this. The ballots were mailed out and received mostly starting October 5th. The drop box became active on October 6th. And anytime I'm over at the community center, it's just a steady stream of people dropping off their ballots. And that will be open throughout the election until November 3rd. And we have received a lot of comments about people wondering if the ballot box is being checked and concern over not having received notification that their ballot has been counted yet. But the county just told us today that they have already received 19,000 ballots returned. There are 174,000 registered voters in Marin this time. And again, 19,000 of those ballots have already been returned, and they're just putting them through their scanner in batches. And you should, if you returned your ballot last week, you should be receiving a notification today or tomorrow that your ballot has been received. It's taking a few days. We've also been getting comments and concerns over whether or not the box is working properly. If you haven't been to it yet, it does not open fully. It opens just enough to slip your ballot through, and it's at an angle to prevent any sabotage or anything else being inserted into the box except for your ballot. So yes, it is working properly, but most people who aren't regular vote by mail voters are expressing some concerns over the use of the box. So if any of you have any questions, or if you've heard any questions or concerns from friends or neighbors, let me know, and I can provide feedback to the county on how that program is going. And thank you for your support.
Great, thank you, Rebecca. RJ, Mike, Adam, do any of you guys have anything you want to update folks on before we start taking questions here? Yeah, go ahead, RJ.
Yeah, just you know, construction season's going well, and we're completing some you know, some of our large jobs, Hamel Vista, and also Redwood Highway Path is well underway. One that's coming up that a lot of people should be aware of is we're starting our slurry seal project, and the main part of that is the actual slurry work itself. And right now it's tentatively scheduled to start on Wednesday, October 28th, and last about a week and a half. So there'll be plenty of notices to go out to residents that are getting the slurry seal on their streets. They should have already gotten one letter already, and then they'll get a 3-day look-ahead letter that'll say a specific date that the slurry will be happening on the street. And then also we're trying to put some electronic message boards out about a week prior to kind of notify neighborhoods that we're coming soon. But it's going to provide a ton of benefit to the town and the roads. But for that week and a half, it's going to be a busy week and a half. So just keep your eyes peeled, or and we'll try to keep you informed about specific dates on your road.
Hey, RJ, what is the scope of that slurry project location-wise?
Yeah, you know, it's about 20% of our road network. So the bulk of Golden Hind, there's a couple other streets in Mariner Cove. The bulk of the kind of westward neighborhood, Corte Madera Avenue. We'll be taking an item to council on the 20th to possibly add Redwood Highway and Madera Boulevard. And I might be leaving one, or San Clemente Drive. So quite a bit. We're trying to, you know, this is a strategy that, you know, we probably roll out a project like this every 3 to 5 years, and it's an opportunity to get the you know, pretty good roads and make them great. And it's a very cost-effective way of doing that. So yeah, we're trying to pick up as many as we can, knowing that we may not have this type of project for a couple years.
Right. Awesome. And then, you know, there's folks on the east side will tell you that Paradise Drive is in pretty bad shape. And I think I mentioned this when you first brought the slurry project to council, and I asked if we could throw Paradise in there. And I think, if I recall, I think what you said is that Paradise is too far gone for this kind of treatment.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is not a candidate for that. But, you know, but just kind of wanted to confirm that Public Works is aware of the situation on Paradise, and it's in the schedule. Right. It's in the capital improvement budget, just so folks know.
Yeah, it's it'll be paved, you know, according to our schedule next summer. And then there will also be a sidewalk widening project on the opposite side of Nugget Market. So between San Clemente Drive and Seawolf, that sidewalk will go to 8 feet wide instead of 4, and that's using some Safe Routes funding.
That's great. Thank you. And the last question I had for you, The Tamil Vista and the Redwood Highway Path project, can you speak a little bit to how the schedules of those might be expected to interface with the holiday shopping season?
So Tamil Vista is, substantially complete. The portion that we're taking as a possible addition for the slurry on Madera Boulevard, so, fronting the town center, that should all be completed, looking at the schedule now, by about November 10th or so, 12th or so.
Okay.
So hopefully that's, in advance. And that's a 2-day job in front of town center there, and there'll be access to most of the driveways. One day we might have to limit one but open the others and that sort of thing. And then same thing with Redwood Highway. That should all be done by about the mid part of the second week of November.
November. Okay. That's great. Yeah. So I think residents are going to really be appreciative that, because I know that's been a concern with timing in the past when the holidays come around. So that's great. Thank you very much, RJ. Mike or Adam, do you guys have any? Oh, Rebecca, go ahead, and then we'll get to Mike and Adam.
That's okay. They can go first.
Okay.
I'll go real quick. Hi, everyone. A couple of updates. I just wanted to mention that last Wednesday, Renison Hotels Inc. They had a community meeting in which they presented very early conceptual plans and just ideas for redeveloping the Best Western Hotel over there on Madera Boulevard in Tamil Vista. And so they are actively seeking sort of public comment at this point. If you have any public comments, I'm happy to forward those comments on to Renison Hotels. Probably the best way. We did offer up use of the email public comment at tcmmail.org for that purpose on last Wednesday. You're welcome to reach out via that email or my email directly too, and I can pass that along. That is the first sort of step in the process that was outlined in the recently adopted hotel bonus FAR ordinance. So really the idea is before you get planned, before you settle on a project proposal for a new hotel, really get some input from our community members, get some ideas in there, and start to design with incorporation of those comments. So just wanted to give that notice out to our community members to pay attention to that as they are starting a new project. I will say that they have are avoiding any development within the pond, which was very controversial last time around. So that's a nice way to start this new process, and that was relayed to them by several community members at the meeting last Wednesday. And then I do want to also just mention we are at the Planning and Building Department and Public Works Department. We, as many of you know, we have a very small public counter downstairs, and we are going to be on a very limited basis, starting to accept appointment only or appointments for visiting us downstairs during a very limited time starting next week. It's going to be Monday and Wednesdays. When in the morning time, there'll be 3 slots essentially for customers and to come in and visit with our staff downstairs. I think we're looking at like 8:15, 9:15, and 10:15 in each of those Monday and Wednesday morning. Again, very limited just to start. Anybody who enters would be required to do the protocols that all of our staff currently do, which is get your temperature checked and then fill out a COVID safety self-screening form with your smartphone, and you sort of use a QR code to sort of fill out an online form and check in. That would be a requirement, but it is sort of exciting for us. I know we miss seeing people, and we also think it's also helpful. I know we've been all electronic and phones, obviously, since March. And some things are just better to talk to somebody face to face. We do have, we've installed some plexiglass shields on the counter. So that's a new change downstairs, taking all the appropriate precautions, but we think it is something, a service that we know is valued from our contracting community, our construction community, but also our residents. And so what we're going to ask people to do, and we'll put this out in a notice, is to basically sign up for an appointment on our website, and then that's again one customer per hour slot, and then we can see people and know who is coming beforehand on any particular day. Again, Monday and Wednesdays, and you'll see notice about that coming out later this week. So just wanted to put that up on your radar if you need to come and talk to any of us down in planning, building, or public works.
Great, Adam. Thank you guys for doing that. Mike, do you have anything you want to share?
I think Adam covered most of it, but he did talk a little bit about COVID protocols, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to let the community know that, you know, we've established a website for documenting potential shelter-in-place violations, and so I monitor those daily, and those complaints are down. And I would like to just let the public know that once we receive a complaint, whether it's, you know, an actual violation or a suggestion or a concern, I do reach out to the business owners. I work with them and provide them the most up-to-date information about COVID protocols to keep our community safe. So I think from the fact that we're in this unique position to enforce the county's ordinance and code, or the code, that we're doing a relatively, I think we're doing a great job in encouraging and providing information to our business owners to provide safe locations for our community members. And we recognize that we're in this with those businesses, and we're all here to prosper together. And so my final comment would be, I see we have 14 members in attendance, and I would see we're trying to expand our reach. And so I would encourage those who are listening to tell a friend, tell your neighbors, reach, you know, in casual conversation, have them tune in. We're here all the time to answer any questions you may have. It may not be this forum, but our staff is trying to broaden our communication plan, and we're here to provide you the best service we possibly can. So tell someone, and we'll see you next in 2 weeks.
Great, thank you, Mike. All right, Rebecca, back to you, and then we'll take questions from the public.
Thank you, Mayor Beckman. I know I said I didn't have much of an update, and then I wrote down several things that I jogged my memory about. First being the newsletter. That meeting for the hotel workshop that Adam mentioned, we wrote about in our newsletter and linked to the video. So if you receive the newsletter, you can find the link there. You can find it on the town's website. If you don't regularly receive the Friday newsletter, there should still be a pop-up form on our website, or also you could go to the newsletter link and just sign up to receive it. But I highly recommend it. We put chock full of information there to keep everyone informed on what's going on in town and in our greater community. One of those things in there this past week was the Great California Shakeout. Every year there's an earthquake drill. This year, because of COVID, it's a virtual earthquake drill, but they are testing their new earthquake warning system that blasts out to phones. So you can download the My Shake app and sign up to participate virtually in the Great California Shakeout on October 15th. And at the designated time, you'll receive an alert on your cell phone that would be equivalent to what you would receive a few seconds before an actual earthquake. So you can get a sense of what that's like, because they are rolling that out throughout California. So it would be really good to try out. I'm going to try it out, and I recommend you do too.
Hey, Rebecca, quick question on that. We don't need the app in order to get the notification in the event of an actual earthquake, right? The app is just for the drill.
That is a good question. It says this year you can join the Great California Shakeout using the new earthquake warning California My Shake app.
Interesting.
It is interesting. I don't know. I'm assuming it goes out via text message. It could be that it's relayed out in multiple sources.
Okay.
I will report back.
Okay, thank you.
Red flag warning. Some of you may have already seen that just an hour or so ago, the county issued a red flag warning in effect for Marin County from 5 a.m. Wednesday through 11 a.m. Friday, the October 16th, in expectation of strong winds and warm, dry weather. So that will result in some closures, some preemptive closures of various state park roads and trails. So if you have any plans to be out and about, you should probably check that first to see if anywhere you're going is on that list of closures. And finally, a very brief COVID-19 update for the county. In the county PIO's meeting on Monday, they did provide an update, and while we are staying in red and we are not currently in danger of moving down to the purple tier, they did not have an expectation of when we might move to the orange tier, but they did say that in one or two metrics, we are trending closer to purple than to orange. And they encouraged all of the staff on the call to keep encouraging their communities to keep doing what they're doing, wearing masks, keeping distance, staying safe. Basically everything that we have been talking about for the last 9 months, but please know that your actions are appreciated, your actions are working, and keep up the good work.
Great, thank you.
We'll be moved to the orange tier soon.
That's right, thank you, Rebecca. And do you know, are we still, is this tiered system for everybody, or is this because we're on the governor's watch list? And or are we still on the governor's watch list?
It's the whole state. If you if you go to the county's daily update, they have a list to the surveillance data page and also a list to the state's reopening safely website, and that is where you can see the tiers and where every county in the state is and where they are relative to what their data is showing for possible move up to the next tier or move down to the prior tier.
Okay, and do we know if Marin is still on the watch list?
I don't believe so, but I don't know.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we have blathered on enough, so we will go ahead and take questions from the public. So if you guys have any questions for any of our staff here, go ahead and throw up your hand on Zoom and we will get you on here to get your question answered. First is going to be Susie, and then Lucinda, and then Becky.
Hi, you guys. Boy, what a lot of good information from every one of you. Thank you so much. And it is too bad they're always the same old people you're looking at. I know, you're going, oh yeah, she's here again. But I tell other people it would be great to have other people. RJ, I'm loving what's going on out there on the Redwood Highway. Oh my gosh, I've been out there several times and it's just amazing. I have a question. Are there going to be trees put back up in that area, or are they going to leave that open? That's just one question I have. And then I have another question about San Clemente sidewalk widening.
Yeah, there's a whole extensive landscaping plan for all those areas. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, it's just the idea that it's going to be that wide. It's already wider and flatter, and it just looks great. And regard to the 8-foot sidewalk along San Clemente and Seawolf, does that, just two things, does that mean that some of those people are going to have to move their fences back? Are you dealing with property issues back there? Or
so actually, for the most part, we're nudging toward the roadway and slimming a little bit of the medians and a little bit of the vehicle travel lanes to make room for that extra 4 feet.
Okay, that's interesting. I also wondered if you were putting any posts up between the walkway and the street. When I drove down, it was Sir Francis Drake Boulevard, kind of around where, past Drake High School, I think on the right-hand side, I noticed they've done a widening there, and their post in the ground is sort of almost a fence between the sidewalk and the street. Is there any plan for anything like that there, or is it just going to be a regular? So
not currently, and I'm familiar with that project. There used to be a guardrail on Sir Francis Drake, and they swapped it out for a cable type fence, more to keep kids and children from entering the roadway than to keep cars from exiting. But based on what we've seen, we don't think that's warranted at this time, but we'll obviously continue to monitor it.
Okay, yeah, that is a really dicey area. Even when I walk along there, and I the kids on the bike, so I'm really happy that's going to get done. Thanks, you guys, so much for this. That's all.
Thank you, Susie. And I just want to say that the Redwood Highway Path project, I remember when I was a kid biking to school, from Mariner Cove to Neil Cummins, biking over that incredibly bumpy path because all the tree roots there were, ripping it up. And so I think it's awesome. And those of us longtime residents are, I think, excited to see this change happening. So thank you, RJ, and your team. We're going to go Lucinda, Becky, Karen, Barbara here.
Hello, everyone. Thanks again
Hello.
for making all this, your time available for this town chat. I love it, as does Susie, so thank you. I did have a few things. I wonder, Rebecca, if you would be able to just give a real quick oversight on this home key project and buying the hotel. I was not able to attend in one of the meetings, and in all honesty, haven't done all of the research, I guess, that's probably out there. Could you just give a quick overview how we can afford that as a town when we're having so much trouble maintaining or meeting our budget already?
Lucinda, that is something that Adam can update you on, but I will send you the link to the video of the presentation that was provided by the county at the last meeting.
Okay.
It's a private sale between the county and the property owner.
Right. Yeah, and I would just reiterate in response to that question, Lucinda, it's actually a state-funded program. So the county basically put out an RFP, and the private property owners down at the hotel responded to the RFP saying they were interested in essentially selling their property to the county, and the county would purchase that with state funds, Project Home Key funds. So that's actually how the transaction is going down. The city and the town, the Corte Madera is really is not party to any of those actual transactions, as it were, with part of that project. And I will say though, and Rebecca mentioned this, we do want to put together, if you missed last Tuesday, the whole purpose of, we want to make sure that they come back to, now that it's sort of been talked about, at least at one meeting, come back, and that's going to be on Monday, October 19th. I think it's going to be 6 or 6:30. We'll send out the notice, and it will be sort of blasted through all the usual channels, but likely tomorrow, and try to get that out. And that's going to be attended by the same county representatives, I think. And I just talked to someone today at the county. They're also going to have more information on the operations of that project, and also more clarity about sort of the plan going from interim housing to permanent housing that they mentioned last Tuesday. So please do attend that, as I think it will be really informative. You're welcome. Let me know if you don't receive any information about it, and I'll be happy to put you in touch with.
Okay, a quick follow-on question to that. How's it going to be managed? Is Corte Madera going to be responsible for managing it and paying for that person's salary and benefits?
No, it's going to be the county, and they'll talk about this on Monday. The county is going to be working, and it's looking like Catholic Charities and or Homeward Bound are the two organizations that have been mentioned. They're nonprofit organizations that are going to be operating that. So the town would not be involved in sort of the operations of that facility.
Thank you. Then I had another question with regard to Rebecca, and again, I probably should do all my homework going to all these sites, but could you give a very quick overview of the tiers and the colors? I mean, and where we are. And I heard red, orange, and purple. And is that going up, going down? I don't know. Sorry.
I would have to open that website from the county, so maybe we can take another question and come back to that.
Sure, but we know purple is worse, red is, in those three, purple is the worst, red is medium, and orange is the best of those three. So that just kind of gives you a sense
it's the states, how they're coding the possible threat level for transmission of COVID-19 in the broader community, and based on the threat assessment, certain sectors of your economy are allowed to reopen or must remain closed or can partially reopen.
Sure.
Based on what colored tier you're in. And it's a pretty extensive chart on the state's website, so I can call that up and share it or send it to you. But basically, you have to be in a certain upward trend for a certain number of weeks. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 before you are proposed for upgrading. It's 2 before you're proposed to be upgraded to the next higher level.
Okay, and thank you. And then I wanted to do a shout out to Mike because he took my call for a potential dog issue on the Fire Road off of Alta Terrace. And we now have a sign which gives what the rules are, and that's much appreciated. And the action and the response was very quick. Thanks very much. And lastly, I wanted to ask about Town Bark, the dog park. RJ, I was there last weekend when we had, or a few days ago when we had a little bit of rain. And there's a very big mud patch in the middle of what used to be a really nice hillside of grass. And I have to say, in my kind of ignorance, I thought that the town was going to maintain this, but it does not look like it's being maintained at all. And quite frankly, I wouldn't put my dog in there. So can you comment on what the status is and what situation, where my misunderstandings might be seated?
Yeah, so I know there was a lot of talk early on when the dog park was being conceptualized, and so I don't think this is coming to us as a surprise to anyone. We always knew that we were going to have to make some adjustments. I believe Ashley, the Parks and Rec director, is going to bring an item to the Parks and Rec Commission to discuss some options. There's all sorts of different opinions on what's the best. We could close it if it's too wet. There might be some minor drainage improvements that we can insert. And then you get into, mulch would be a less expensive method, but some people aren't as keen on that. We've seen that at the Sausalito Dog Park. And then otherwise you're looking at, artificial turf, which is a much larger investment. So different directions we could go. And I think Ash is going to lead that discussion.
Thank you. That's all I had, guys. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Lucinda. And I just wanted to reiterate, as Rebecca said, anybody who's curious about this project Home Key and didn't get a chance to tune into last week's council meeting, highly recommend that you watch, because the presentation that we were given from the county and their nonprofit partners was really kind of illuminating, eye-opening for us. Got a lot of great information there, and then a lot of great public comment. We had members of the public bringing up some really good points, asking great questions, also good questions asked by the council. So I think taking all that together, it's definitely a good resource for folks who want to learn more about this interesting project. But one thing that I will just mention, Lucinda, since you specifically asked about this project in relation to the town's budget, is the only way that it really has any bearing on the budget is if you look at what its impact could be on our transient occupancy tax, the TOT, so the hotel tax, our tax on hotel revenue. But I think it was Adam, that brought up at that council meeting that between the business cycle and all of the renovations that this hotel has been doing over the past umpteen years, we haven't seen, any real significant TOT revenues from this hotel in a few years. So it sounds like, at least, on like the 5-year time frame, it's not really going to be a change to our status quo. So it's not like something that would be a shock to our budget one way or the other. So I just wanted to put that out there. Adam, did I get all that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's right.
Great. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, Rebecca?
Okay, I found the information that I was looking for. Lucinda, I'll email this to you. It's one of those things that's much easier to comprehend when you look at it rather than when you try to read it. But what you need to go to is the state's Blueprint for a Safer California website. The county's daily COVID updates also link to it, but this tier that we're currently in, the red tier, you stay in the red tier if you have between 4 and 7 daily new cases of COVID per 100,000 population. And the positivity rate needs to be between 5 and 8% and between 5.3 and 8% on the new health equity metric that they just instituted of positive tests per 100,000 population. You move up to the orange tier, which is moderate, which allows some indoor business operations, more businesses can open with modifications. And the orange tier is 1 to 3.9 daily new cases per 100,000. The same metric for the purple tier of widespread COVID infections is more than 7 cases per 100,000. And currently, the county has 5.2 new COVID cases per day per 100,000, which is firmly in the red tier. So not close to orange tier level. And then it's 4.0 when adjusted case rate for tier assignment. We have a 1.5% positivity rate and a 2.7% health equity metric. So we're only trending down toward purple with that 1 new case per day per 100,000. The other metrics are on the higher end of red. So it's a lot to put in words when the pictures are much easier to understand.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Rebecca, for that kind of overview there. Thank you, Lucinda. Great questions. Next is going to be, we're going to go Becky, then Karen, then Barbara. I also just wanted to mention for folks, since we've got some new folks on the line now, we are also joined by Fire Chief Ruben Martin. And then I just wanted to reiterate for anyone who might have missed it, that Supervisor Dennis Rodoni, our county supervisor, is going to be a special guest at the community chat in 2 weeks. So that's October 27th. So if you have any questions for Supervisor Rodoni about county issues, that would be a great opportunity. So we are going to hear from our friend Becky Reed now.
Hi, this is for Mike and Ruben. I listen to these wonderful talks all the time, and I feel like I really know what's going on in Corte Madera until someone asks me, who is going to give the tickets of someone who's walking a dog on a leash too long, or someone who's got trees too close to their house? And I know that, Ruben, I know that there is someone going up in the hills, kind of door to door.
Becky, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have a voter at the door of town hall waving their ballots at me. I'm going to run over and just tell them that they need to go down to the community center and drop those off. But I'm going to keep my headphones in so I will hear you. I didn't.
Okay. I don't know if you heard any of that, but well, let's start with Ruben. Where will people be going door to door, your people, to tell people that they've got trees too close to their house, and either giving citations or giving warnings? I thought I knew and understood that until I tried to explain it to someone, and I don't.
Okay, so when it comes to fire hazards, the mature trees next to your house, even though everyone's got trees that they're the hazard, most of the time are not the hazard. A lot of time the hazard is all the underbrush underneath the trees. So what we do is we go out and do home evaluations and then advise the homeowners if there's any violation that's within the WUI or defensible code requirements, and then we'll give them a notice. So our motto here is we use the 3 E's, which is education, and then encouragement, then finally enforcement. The goal for us isn't to go out and ticket people for over-vegetation. It's to try to change that human behavior and human thought process of actually is the hazard. There are a few homes that we have to go after. However, that's a very small fraction of the people that we do enforce. And believe it or not, Corte Madera and Larkspur are one of the two jurisdictions that are active properties throughout the entire county. We ended up seeing recently was about 20 MWPA inspectors were funded through the They came through all of the hillside communities. They did approximately 1,000 homes and identified where there were any hazards and to the property owners. Few that were very and over the top that were not responsive to our requirement. And those are
okay. Ruben, I'm only hearing about every fourth word now. Is everyone else hearing okay?
I think the connection from Ruben's mobile command center might not be the greatest.
Okay, it wasn't just me.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm in the hills in Larkspur.
I may be able to add some to that if you can't come through, Ruben.
Yeah, so I apologize. My connection isn't all that great. What we do is we educate, encourage, and enforce. Number one goal is to educate the community of what the hazard is, but we do not cite or give tickets out for defensible space violations. What we do is we send letters and then we abate them if needed.
Are you going just for, I mean, you don't have, I'm sure you do it in all ways, but are you generally doing it when neighbors complain, or are you going door to door in the hills? Or, I mean, I live in the flats. Are you going to be coming door to door in Madera Gardens?
No, because Madera Gardens is not in the WUI, so there is no real fire hazard threat for wildfires. So our enforcement or our inspection process is primarily through the hillside communities or your WUI zones.
Yeah, makes sense. And then Mike, I know that there's talk about budgeting and, you know, that you are hiring people to do enforcement and that the police should not be spending their time giving tickets for dogs off leashes. So I know that in general, but who will be giving the tickets? And quite frankly, someone asked me, are they going to be wearing guns? Are these police officers?
So the short answer is no. And just to kind of reiterate back on what Ruben talked about earlier is throughout the town, we're using the same approach, education. The last thing that we want to do is issue a citation. We're out there in the park right now on a regular basis. We're providing information to people who, and it's frequent that I'll talk to someone who's right there next to the sign that says dog off, dogs need to be on the leash, and trying to really talk some reason. And once they see my face and I'm telling them, hey, listen, this is a big hot item here in town, and please, I'm asking for your cooperation. And we're starting to see more and more compliance. Now, worst case scenario, always it's the checkbook that changes behavior, and that would be the last resort. I've been here for a year and a half. I've dealt with hundreds of violations. I've issued 0 citations, and I attribute that to working with the violator, so to speak, or the community member who's having some issues and walking them through the process, and almost like just holding the hand but at the same time, I have 20 years of law enforcement experience, and I attribute that to the success, right? You just really need to be able to communicate with people, have your expectations delivered to them, and only at a last resort will we provide citations. So to follow up with what you had asked about who's going to be issuing the citations, I think at a last resort, it's going to be the police department, but we are going to implement an administrative citation process where staff, it'll likely be me or someone working with me in the code enforcement realm, will issue an administrative citation. There's still some things that we need to work out with delivery of that. We're not uniform presence, so there's some things that we still need to talk about at a staff level, how we're going to implement that. But the more people we communicate with, the more times I contact them and say, hey, listen, I warned you before. It will ultimately come down to, if it has to be an administrative citation, then so be it. But we deal with this with the dog is off the leash. We deal with this with overgrown vegetation, non-related to fire situation, but encroaching onto the public right of way. We work with the members of the community. We want to have a positive relationship with our community members, and with that respect, we're requesting compliance. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Great, thank you, Becky. And Mike, quick clarifying question for you on that subject. When you guys are doing, when you have like a first contact with somebody who may be in violation and it's just an education thing, do you guys make note of their name so that you can just, keep track of if they become a repeat offender?
So 2 months ago, the police department was doing extra enforcement for us, and they were issuing more of like they were entering information into a warning system. And so they're tracking that information. Me personally, I have not, other than mental notes and handwritten notes, because I'm seeing compliance with repeat offenders. And like I said, we're still trying to determine how that administrative citation process will be issued. Like, honestly, if it's me in the park in my polo shirt and I contact somebody and I say, hey, may I see your identification? I'm with the town's Corte, Madera now. We need to develop that process, because if someone says, well, I'm not telling you who I am, then it rises to another level, right? So I still need to work with Captain Khalili at the police department and the town manager, Todd, to further develop that, because these situations are going to occur, and we want to make sure we have people in those positions who can diffuse situations that could potentially get volatile and deliver the most appropriate response.
That's great. Well, thank you. It sure does. And thank you to you and your team, and also to CMPA for making sure that these things get handled in a way that's professional and peaceful. So thank you. With that, we're going to go to Karen and then Barbara. Hi, Karen. Hey, Karen, we cannot hear you. All right, we're gonna take Karen off here for a moment. A call-in number did just join, so I'm not sure if that might be Karen's audio. I'm gonna take Karen off for the moment, and we'll go to Barbara, and hopefully we can get Karen's situation straightened out.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, sorry. I was trying to be ready. So, okay, first of all, I came in late to this meeting. Sorry, I was watching the Senate confirmation hearings while this was going on. But I missed Eli's comments, which I normally love hearing. Eli, I love that you do this. I love that you're mayor. I love that you're such a young guy, and you are so on top of things. You remind me of my own son. So thank you very much. Anyway.
Well, thank you. It's really all the staff. I'm the figurehead here.
They're the backbone. They are the backbone of the town. But you have been a very positive addition to this town. Let me just say, I'm a 27-year resident of Corte Madera, so I say that proudly. But I do miss seeing Todd's face, and I guess he's not here, but that's okay. So I missed the talk about the Home Key project, but I did want to say I listened to the presentation of the Renaissance Hotels about the new hotel plan for the Best Western. I don't know if you've talked about that yet, but
yeah, I gave a quick update on that.
Okay.
Barbara, yeah.
Okay, I just want to say I listened to the whole thing. I was very impressed. I thought they are following the process, and they're really open to community input, and they're keeping the pond, and they're changing the configuration of the hotel and the entrance to make it safer and better for the locals, and more power to them. So I was actually very impressed. That hotel really needs to be updated. So it would be nice to get going on it. So that's a positive thing. And then I just want to say, Mike Moriarty, you are my hero. You're my hero this week, because thank you. I see so many fewer unleashed dogs in the park since you've been doing your job. And I hear so many fewer leaf blowers and barking dogs in my neighborhood, and you don't know what a difference that is. I live and work at home. I'm a writer. I need intense concentration, and barking dogs are a major hindrance, and leaf blowers too are a major hindrance to that. So thank you. Whatever you're doing, it's working, and you have my gratitude forever. So
thank you. It takes all of us together to get that message across, so I appreciate it.
Right. And I just want to say, I used to be a deputy city attorney in San Francisco. They do a lot of code enforcement work. If you need help putting together a code enforcement process, they're a good, call the city attorney's office of San Francisco and ask them for some assistance. They're masters of this. So yeah. And that's it.
Great. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you so much. All right. So I have verified that our call-in number that we have is Karen. So I'm gonna, she looks like she's put her hand down, but I'm gonna get this, the audio for this call-in number on and just see if she wanted to say anything. So Karen, if you can hear us, I've got talking permitted for your landline now.
You can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay, I have answers to other people's questions. We're in the second to the worst tier, the red tier. We will be in that tier at least to the 27th of October, at which point we will have been in that tier long enough for them to reevaluate it. If people really want a lot of information and good information, they'll watch the Board of Supervisors meeting on Tuesday mornings, every other Tuesday. Matt Willis is the county public health officer, and he gives a fabulous comprehensive presentation about the whole thing. He goes over all the details every time like nobody's ever heard any of it before, and he's very, very thorough. So that's the deal on our COVID status. So we will be in the tier that we're in, Marin County, at least through the 27th. And all the counties are in this protocol. No, we are no longer on the watch list. We went off the watch list when we went from purple to red. That's not why I called in.
Okay. But thank you.
So the reason that I called in is that I'm concerned about the town's relationship with MCE. I may be confused, but it seems that MCE is a private business, and so I don't know that it's suitable for the town to be an advocate for MCE. And so is the town advocating for MCE? Because it just seems that there's a fairly strong language about MCE.
Sure, thank you, Karen. I don't know if any of our staff members might want to jump in with some information here. MCE is a community choice aggregator. I do not believe that they are like a private for-profit business, but I'm not the authority on that. So I don't know if
they are,
if anyone
they are not for profit, but they're not, but they are quasi in competition with PG&E. So they're not just a charitable operation. They're in business to some degree because obviously they want you to do business with them and they want you to send them your checks rather than sending your check to PG&E.
This may be something that we need to do a little more research on and get back to you with a a better researched answer. I don't have the answer for you there.
And it would be helpful to know in what regard sort of also your.
Say that again?
It may be helpful to just a little bit better understand sort of like in what regard are you referring to the town's are you referring to the town's relationship with the organization or through the purchasing of Deep Green, or is there
no, I understand that the town, as any entity, business, public, private, whatever, is free to choose who they want to use as their energy provider. So I don't have any argument or question about the town having chosen MCE to be its energy provider. However, separate from that, it seems that the town has, for want of a better word, become an advocate for MCE insofar as its environmental consciousness and all of that other stuff. And it just seems that there's a line that's being crossed to me of being an advocate for an entity that's in competition with another business entity. Because at the end of the day, whether they're not for profit or whatever, they are a business entity.
Okay. I guess I was just wondering in what ways. Is it like banner signs, or is it stuff, maybe comments that you've heard at meetings, or I was trying to understand a little bit better what gives you that impression, but it's fine.
So I've heard in town council meetings, I've heard council members speaking with regard to MCE like it's the thing to do, that not quite, veers into the neighborhood of being advocating for people using it, and that it's preferable to doing business with PG&E.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Again, Karen, I think we will need to research this a little further, I think, to get kind of like to a more authoritative answer for you. But just want to make clear that one, the town council has a representative on MCE's board, right? So our vice mayor, David Kuhnhart, sits on the MCE board. MCE is not like a regular old company, neither is PG&E for that matter. But PG&E is, to my knowledge, a publicly traded for-profit corporation. MCE is not. I am not versed on like the fine details, but the other thing that I'll just say is that it is, per our climate action plan, it is the town of Corte Madera's official policy to encourage residents to lower their carbon footprints, to utilize renewable energy when possible. These things are MCE's explicit purpose for being. This is what they do as a business, and this is not what PG&E does as a business. PG&E offers, I think, some level of renewable energy, but MCE offers 100% renewable energy in a way that I believe I want to say MCE started as possibly as a joint powers authority here in Marin County, right? It used to be Marin Clean Energy, and their whole purpose for coming into existence was to provide Marin County with locally generated renewable energy. So that's kind of the best answer I can give you right now on this, but we can research this.
That was exactly what I was just going to add. It's considered a local public agency, and it's governed by a board of directors, of which we appoint one of our council members to serve to represent our community on.
Yeah, I just want to be sure that if there's a line there that shouldn't be crossed, that it isn't crossed.
Right. No, we're not, posing in the Oval Office with cans of brand name beans or anything like that. So
don't go there.
We shan't go there. Was that all, Karen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Do you still want us to look more into that and follow up with you?
I'm writing it down.
I'd like to have utmost confidence that there isn't a line that shouldn't be crossed, and it isn't being crossed.
Okay, we will get back to you on that, just to follow up on that discussion.
Okay.
Okay, great. And with that, guys, it is 5 o'clock, so we're going to wrap up here. I'm sorry again that we didn't have Todd for you today, but we appreciate all of you guys sticking out with us anyways. Great questions today, and we have a council meeting next Tuesday, so I hope to see you guys there. And we will have another chat the following Tuesday on October 27th, featuring Supervisor Dennis Rodoni. And with that, have a great rest of your afternoon, and we will see you guys soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.